Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are looking at the true biology of anxiety and 7 neuroscience fixes. If you're someone who really wants to cut through the noise and understand how your mind actually works on a biological level, you are in the exact right place. We're going to decode the mysteries of daily anxiety using some truly fascinating neuroscience. So let's jump right in.
So, why does your chest feel heavy on a perfectly normal night when literally nothing happened? You know the feeling, right? It's the end of a regular Tuesday. Nobody yelled at you, you didn't make any huge mistakes, but the second your head hits the pillow, your chest just tightens up. You're staring at the ceiling, tossing and turning, and you can't even pinpoint why you feel so uneasy. I want to validate that right out of the gate. That unexplained late-night anxiety, it is not a sign of mental weakness, and it is definitely not a lack of willpower. It is pure biology.
To figure out what's going on, we have to look at this tiny, almond-sized region deep inside your brain called the amygdala. Think of it as your ancient survival fire alarm. It is constantly, tirelessly scanning your environment to keep you alive, and its reaction time? A staggering 0.2 seconds. It actually reacts before your logical mind can even process what your eyes are seeing. It doesn't want you to sit there and think things through. It just wants you to survive.
Which brings us to a massive evolutionary mismatch between ancient threats and modern triggers. Back in the day, if you heard rustling grass and stopped to logically wonder if it was just the wind or a wild beast, well, you probably became dinner. The humans who survived were the ones whose bodies reacted instantly. Fast forward to today, we don't exactly have tigers lurking in our bedrooms. What we do have are unread messages from our boss or flawless, curated lives popping up on our social media feeds. The crazy part? Your brain treats that unread text message with the exact same life-or-death intensity as a tiger in the bushes.
It's kind of like a smoke detector in an apartment building. The fire alarm is ringing from a neighbor's cigarette smoke, but there is no actual fire. The sensor is just so highly tuned that it's going off over nothing. There is no fire, but the alarm is blaring like the whole building is burning down. So remember this. Your brain isn't broken at all. Our modern world has just become incredibly noisy, and it's constantly triggering these false biological alarms.
And when that alarm goes off, say in a public setting, the results can be totally paralyzing. You know when you're in a meeting, someone asks you a simple question and your mind just goes completely blank? Psychologist Daniel Goleman calls this brain hijacking. The amygdala completely seizes control. It literally kicks your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical, language processing part of your brain, right out of the driver's seat. Your brain shuts down your ability to form complex sentences because biologically, it thinks you need to be running for your life right now.
After one of these brain hijacks, we usually beat ourselves up pretty badly. We think, ugh, why didn't I just stay calm? I just need to try harder. But relying on willpower during a brain hijack is totally useless because willpower is just too slow. The biological sequence of panic has already started. Willpower relies on that prefrontal cortex, which, like we just talked about, is currently offline. Your body has reacted before your mind can even formulate the words calm down.
So if willpower doesn't work, what on earth does? Well, we have to bypass the conscious brain entirely and speak directly to the nervous system. This is our first neuroscience fix, the vagus nerve bypass. Step 1, inhale for 4 seconds. Step 2, exhale for 8 seconds. By using this specific breathing pattern, you stimulate the vagus nerve, which is essentially a direct telephone line to your brain. This breathing ratio physically forces your body to send a biological I am safe signal. Once the brain gets that message, the hijack stops, and your logic comes back online. It is literally a biological override switch.
Now, this intense biological reaction also explains broader things, like why some of us are just more sensitive overall. Have you ever wondered why you immediately pick up on a colleague's bad mood while everyone else is completely clueless? Well, it's the biological blueprint of sensitivity. Some populations genetically have shorter serotonin pathways. It acts like a highly sensitive emotional antenna. In fact, research shows about 1 in 5 people process stimuli on a much deeper level than the rest of the population. I really want you to hear this. It is a physical, genetic trait exactly like your blood type. It's a biological precision tool, absolutely not a personality flaw.
But society often views this sensitivity as a weakness, so we fall into this self-criticism trap. We say really harsh things to ourselves, things we would literally never say to a friend. We tell ourselves we're being too sensitive, and we obsess over our mistakes. This is biologically devastating. Every single time you blame yourself, you are releasing the stress hormone cortisol. That cortisol physically paralyzes your brain's ability to recover and keeps you locked in this endless loop of fear.
Now, when we feel anxious, we usually try to fix it by looking inside our heads. But get this, where is serotonin actually produced? Serotonin is that famous happiness chemical that regulates our mood. Surprisingly, 90% of it is produced in the gut, and only 10% is made in the brain. Your brain is basically just sitting up there receiving the raw materials that your intestines send up to it.
Which leads us to our second actionable fix. To build all that serotonin, your body desperately needs a specific building block called tryptophan. And here's the kicker. Your body cannot make tryptophan on its own. You have to eat it. Luckily, it's in a lot of everyday foods. Things like natto, tofu, miso, and bananas are incredible sources. That bowl of miso soup you have for breakfast, it isn't just warming you up. It's literally handing your gut the exact chemical ammunition your brain needs to fight off daily anxiety.
And timing your morning right matters just as much as what you're eating. Let's look at the serotonin-melatonin cycle. At 0 minutes, the moment you expose your eyes to morning sunlight, a biological timer starts. Within just 15 minutes, your brain kicks off active serotonin production. Fast forward 14 hours later, and that very same serotonin physically transforms into melatonin, the hormone you need for deep, restorative sleep. So standing by an open window for 15 minutes in the morning, it's not just a nice aesthetic routine, it's literally a biological reservation for deep sleep later that night.
That deep sleep is absolutely non-negotiable. Here's why. Think of it as the nighttime wash. Throughout the day, as your neurons fire, they build up actual physical toxic waste. Your brain has a specialized cleaning system designed to wash these toxins away, but the catch is it only activates when you are asleep. If you wake up with that heavy, gross brain fog, it's pretty much a guarantee that this nighttime wash cycle never properly finished.
And the biggest threat to this brain recovery is probably sitting right on your nightstand. Yep, your smartphone. Scrolling in bed is a disaster for this process. First, the blue light tricks your brain into thinking the sun is still up, so the cleaning cycle just fails to start. Plus, scrolling social media triggers all these subconscious comparisons. You're looking at someone's tropical vacation while you're lying there exhausted. And guess who wakes up? Your amygdala. It reacts to those social comparisons as if they are a real immediate crisis.
And if you think, well, I'm just glancing at my phone for a quick second, it's fine, think again. 20. That is the exact number of minutes it takes for your brain to regain deep focus after just one single smartphone notification. One buzz, one quick glance at a text, and your brain is derailed for a full 20 minutes. It is honestly no wonder our neurology feels so utterly fried by the end of the day. We are just constantly ripping our brains out of their natural flow.
So what do? We use the 1-hour rule. Leave your phone in another room 1 full hour before you go to sleep. I know, it sounds super tough, but I want you to reframe how you look at this. It's not a punishment. It's not some strict discipline you have to force yourself through. It's a profound act of kindness to your overworked brain. You're just giving it the permission and the environment it desperately needs to finally start that nightly cleaning cycle.
Okay, now for the most empowering concept of all, neuroplasticity. For the longest time, scientists thought once you became an adult, your brain was just fixed and unchangeable. We now know that's completely false. Neuroplasticity is your brain's physical ability to rewire its circuits and literally change its own shape based on your repeated daily actions. This means you are never permanently stuck. You literally have the biological power to actively build new neural pathways that lead away from anxiety.
Think of your brain's pathways like trails in a forest. The path of daily anxiety? That is a well-trodden animal path. It's wide, it's clear, and your brain walks down it automatically without even thinking. But over on the other side, we have a new, overgrown path of healthy micro-habits. Walking down this new path is hard at first. There are weeds everywhere, there are obstacles. But here's the magic. Every single time you choose to walk down it, the old anxious path gets a little more overgrown, and that new path gets a little bit wider and easier to walk.
The absolute secret to forging this new path without freaking out your nervous system is rewiring with micro habits. Let's say you suddenly decide, I'm going to work out for an hour every morning. What happens? Your amygdala senses this massive, sudden change, flags it as a threat, and triggers a full-blown fear response. And then you just give up. Instead, you have to bypass that defense mechanism. Keep the task ridiculously small. Just open the curtains, drink a single glass of water. These tiny little wins release dopamine, which biologically encourages your brain to widen that new healthy pathway without ever sounding the alarm.
We've covered the mechanics, the hormones, the gut, and the habits. But absolutely none of these fixes will work if you keep attacking yourself. Harshness is literal poison to a sensitive brain. Remember the cortisol we talked about? Punishing yourself for feeling anxious just causes your brain to freeze up even more. Self-compassion isn't just some fluffy, feel-good advice. It is the fundamental biological fuel required to activate neuroplasticity and actually get your mind moving forward again.
Which brings us to our final and definitely most important takeaway. You are not broken. You just have a highly precise mind that takes in way more of the world than other people do. You're walking around with an incredible, high-definition instrument. Stop treating it like a flawed machine. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, the next time you find yourself laying awake at night staring at the ceiling with that heavy chest, ask yourself, what is my highly precise mind trying to protect me from right now? And how can I turn this false alarm into an opportunity to rewire my brain? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.